Welcome to Lemoore City Council Chambers on 429 C Street. This is the September 5th meeting. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. If you could please stand for the invocation by Kimberly Nelson and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, Father God, we come before you, Lord, and as it is written above our Madam Mayor and our council members, our leaders, Lord, in God we trust. We trust you, Lord, and we invite you into this meeting. And we ask you, Father God, for you to bestow upon our leaders your wisdom, Lord, because we can do nothing without you. Father God, I ask for your protection over them and their families and over our citizens and their families. I pray a special protection, Lord, over our police, over our fire, over our ambulance, Lord God. And I ask you, Lord, that you would move in a mighty way within our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Lyons.
Present.
Councilmember Orth.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gornick
Here.
and Mayor Matthews.
Here.
Thank you.
agenda approval, additions and or deletion. Seeing none. We'll move on to closed session. Item 1, liability claim, government code section 54956.95. Claimant Ms. McCormick. Item number 2, government code section 45957, public employee performance evaluation, city manager. Item number 3, government code section 54956.9, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, one case. So with that, we'll go into closed session.
That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to consent calendar. We have item 4-1, approval of minutes for regular meeting, August 1st, 2023. 4-2, approval of minutes, regular meeting, August 15th, 2023. 4-3, approval bid award well 13 rehabilitation. 4-4, approval resolution 2023-26, naming city manager as the signing authority for a public benefit grant program application to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. 5-5, approval denial of claim for McCormick. Anyone on council want to pull any of these items? Seeing none, anyone from the public want to pull any of the items on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for a motion.
Motion to approve 4-1 through 4-5 as written.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
All right.
and I vote yes. Section 5, public hearings. 5-1, public hearing resolution 2023-27, approving general plan amendment number 2023-02, initiated by the city of Lemoore to eliminate the mixed-use designation from the general plan of the north side of Hanford-Armona Road, east of Lemoore Avenue, in the city of Lemoore, and introduce ordinance number 2023-06 and first reading of zoning map amendment number 2023-02, changing a portion of the zoning map from mixed use to professional office and medium density residential located on the north side of Hanford-Armona Road, east of Lemoore Avenue in the city of Lemoore. Mr. Brandt.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Steve Brandt, City Planner. Start by apologizing to the mayor for the amount of reading she's gonna have to do tonight. It's necessary, but it's, still. This is all 6 of these public hearings is kind of the culmination of the work we've been doing the last 9 months to make changes to both the zoning ordinance and the subdivision ordinance based on a grant we received from the state to make changes to our policies to encourage more housing in the city. That's the basis of it. There were some other secondary goals that we had that came along with that I could talk about as we go. But that's the main reason. So these all work together, and we've had study sessions, all these together. We broke them apart for the planning commission hearing, and that seemed to go really well. So we broke them apart for you here tonight as well. So I'm going to start with the first zone change map. The first 4 of these are zone change map changes to the general plan and the zoning maps. So this one is on the north side of Hanford-Armona Road, just east of Lemoore Avenue. There's 4 parcels there that are zoned mixed use. So just to talk really quickly about the mixed use zone, that was a new zone that was put in place about 12 years ago. And one of the things that Christy and I have noticed over the years is that nobody's built anything in that zone since we adopted it. So to me as a planner, that says that zone is not working for some reason. So our focus was to look at eliminating the mixed use zone and then looking at, okay, well then what's the most appropriate zones to go in there, knowing that we're trying to get more housing in. So the 2 properties on the west here, we're proposing to zone professional office because they're already have uses that are compatible in that zone. They're more commercial office oriented. And then the 2 properties to the east, one of them has a church, would be zoned medium density residential. Not going to get a lot of new housing out of this particular one, but it does clean up the zoning map. It takes the mixed use zone off of there. So
could you explain a little bit better for me? I'm having a hard time
Sure.
following you in this. So the bottom colored maps,
So
That's
yes.
the existing zoning.
So the bottom left is the existing zoning and the bottom
Okay.
right is the new proposed.
And all
So-
they're
And then
changing
the-
is
And then
purple.
the top right shows you which parcels are changing.
Okay, and yeah, I got it right here.
Okay,
Yeah. And we're changing. We're taking all the multi-use out
taking
and
all
we're,
the mixed use out.
and we're expanding the medium density residential.
Correct. And then adding some professional office. And so half of the sites that are vacant, half of them have uses, and all of the uses would still be allowed uses in the new zones that we're proposing.
So like the church, it's being used as a church right now, but
And it can stay.
It can stay,
no,
Is
I
it
know that, but
even though the zone changes.
Even though
No.
the zone changes, it can stay. Churches are allowed in the.
That just
medium-
means if
medium
the
density
church goes
residential.
away, what comes in
If
next?
the
will
church
have to
went
follow.
away, somebody could put residential there.
Gotcha.
my question
I'm
is,
sorry.
Okay, sorry.
my question is, if the church ceases to exist as their current pastor, but
Mhm.
still kind of technically a church, but it's not, and then someone wants to come in there and put another church there,
Different church, yes, still okay,
it's still okay, okay.
yes.
Until the owner of that land gets an offer and says, hey, I want to build apartments here, that's the deal.
Yeah, well,
You can
just,
kick out the-
just because it's zoned medium density residential, there are still other uses that are allowed in that
Yeah.
zone. So for example, schools are allowed in that zone.
Yeah,
So, so so the church can stay as long as it wants. And if they ever do want to change use to residential, they can do that too.
Didn't we have a similar issue with the church that was on 19th and Cinnamon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're converting that into a
Resi-
residence.
Residential, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm still trying to. This is located,
Dr. Lisking's old office.
Yeah.
Does that help?
yes,
The
So,
laundromat,
The laundromat.
yeah, there's a
yes.
laundromat there
the
now.
laundromat, church, Dr.
Yep.
Lisking's old office.
And this applies to all this zoning and general plan amendments. We sent out certified letters to every property owner telling them that we were doing this. We gave them our phone numbers and our email addresses. And on some of the others that I'm going to talk about, we did receive calls back and had conversations. On this one, none of the property owners called. We did have a neighbor come to the planning commission meeting to the north, but none of the property owners have contacted us.
And so Steve, I just want to understand of also, part of the reason why you're even proposing to change this is not necessarily for the pieces that are developed, but for the pieces that are undeveloped.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
so Steve, is there, what are the limitations on medium density in terms of size? Is that just?
I know the density range is up to 14 units per acre. So, let's see, 3,000, I think that's what it is. If it's, if your lot is 9,000 square feet, you can have 3 units. If it's 12,000 square feet, you can have 4 units. It's every 3,000 square feet, you get 1 more unit that you can have on your site.
So a developer would be prevented from putting, you got 3 acres, he'd be prevented from putting 6 lots there.
If he,
6 lots or 6 apartments?
6 homes.
Oh, 6 homes.
you can have 3 residences per 3,000 square feet of site area.
What
So
if
it
you didn't
depends on
want
the size
that?
of your lot.
What if you didn't want it? I'd have to go get rezoned.
That would be the maximum. You can put less.
Oh, so I could do that. then.
Oh, yeah, you can
Oh,
do less. You don't do
okay.
the exact amount. I'm quoting the
You're
maximum.
going to the max.
I'm quoting the maximum. you can do. That's usually what the developers want to know. What's the maximum I can do?
Well, I know that. Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that the property owners were notified. Do we know for sure that they were notified? Was it like
Yeah, we sent it,
Certified mail?
we sent it certified mail and we got all the notices back that they received them
Okay,
To the landowners or the residents?
to the landowners.
Landowners, okay.
The
I just
same,
wanted
the
to-
same address that their tax bill goes to.
just wanted to make sure of that.
Good.
That's all I had.
So we're gonna do each one of these as a separate public hearing and have a separate resolution for the general plan amendment and a separate ordinance for the zone change.
Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, anyone from the public have questions or comments on this 5-1?
Mine will apply to all. Tom Reed, Par Avenue, Lemoore. I just want to know what is the usage for mixed use? What all can be done there? Thanks.
Any other public comment? No,
I can answer that, Mayor. The mixed use is pretty much what it says. It's, you can have residential uses and you can have some commercial uses. The issue that we've heard from the public, mainly developers and realtors, is the development standards that came with the mixed use zone. They were really trying to get people to build in what you'd call an urban or a downtown style where the building is right at the street and the parking is behind. And people, that's great for downtown. It's not great for some of these other areas. Or at least that's what the market is telling us.
thank you, sir.
And additionally, I do not believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have not received any applications for mixed use
None,
since the inception of a mixed use zoning in the city.
nope, none of them. Yes, except for a request to change the zone.
Oh,
So Mavericks was mixed use before we changed that,
gotcha.
because they would not have been able to go in as mixed use.
Any other, last call, any other public comment for 5-1?
Online.
You have any online?
One more question. How many areas in the city are mixed use zoning at this time?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep, we got 4 hearings. There's 4 areas.
You're gonna see them all tonight.
Oh, clean sweep.
There
Tonight
is
the abolishment of the mixed use.
the downtown has, it's called downtown mixed use. So it's slightly different, but we're not touching that tonight. And that has worked. It's been successful, but that's because it's a downtown setting.
Any other questions from council? I will entertain a motion.
Motion. For
Second.
5-1 as read.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lyons and a second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Lyons?
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick?
Yes.
Councilmember Garza?
Yes.
Councilmember Orth?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Just like say the whole thing. So your motion is the motion to approve
5-1 as read.
5-1 as read,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah. Bring Mary back.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just-
No, he's
Okay.
keeping us on. It's
So I
not
have
that
a
Mary
motion
didn't keep us
by
on.
Councilmember
I
Lyons.
know, it's a joke.
Councilmember Gornick, does your second still stand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Orth,
I guess, so. Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, 5-2, public hearing resolution 2023-28, approving general plan amendment number 2023-3, initiated by the city of Lemoore to eliminate the mixed use designation from the general plan map located in the vicinity of Lemoore Avenue and Cinnamon Drive in the city of Lemoore, and first reading of ordinance 2023-07, adopting zoning map amendment number 2023-03, changing a portion of the zoning map from mixed use to neighborhood commercial and high density residential located in the vicinity of Lemoore Avenue and Cinnamon Drive in the city of Lemoore.
Thank you. The second one, as you said, is at the vicinity of Cinnamon Drive and Lemoore Avenue. There's some parcels. You can see that, again, the top right, the parcels outlined in red are the ones that we're changing. Currently, those are all zoned mixed use. What we're doing is recommending that the parcels that are along Lemoore Avenue be rezoned to neighborhood commercial. And then the two larger ones be rezoned to high density residential, which would allow most likely an apartment complex. On this one, it made sense to, there's a lot of existing commercial uses along Lemoore Avenue, and the few sites that are vacant, it would make sense for them to also be commercial someday. So that seemed to make sense. On this one too, I don't think we didn't get any comments from any of these property owners. The triangle piece just north of the railroad tracks, I mean, that's going to be a hard site to develop no matter what you try to put in there. So we were thinking, that you could possibly fit some apartment buildings back in there and make that work. But that is our recommendation for that area, and open for any questions.
Now, from the time that we first started this process to today, did that neighborhood commercial between Cinnamon and the railroad tracks right in the front, did that change, or was it that color last time?
I think it was that color last
Was it?
time. Yeah.
Which one?
The sliver
Right,
between,
the part along
basically
the-
Cinnamon, or between
along-
Cinnamon and Lemoore Avenue, that little sliver that's NC red now, all the way to the railroad tracks, was it like that
I
at the
believe
last
so.
meeting, or did we change that?
No, I believe that's.
I think
it
that's
was.
how it was.
Okay,
That
cool.
has that Venice Health and the
didn't-
wrecking bar and.
Yeah, that's what I,
Places.
oh, yeah, no, for some reason, my brain thought that wasn't that color, but
Okay, no, that's fine.
I'm cool.
So that big square that we're changing that designation to,
High density residential.
High density resident. So that would be for an apartment complex,
Apartment
a fairly decent sized one. Yeah. The thinking
Currently
though
the
is
dirt
it's-
lot next to the
it's-
school.
It's right, it's next to a school, it's next to commercial development,
but you got apartments right across the street from there too.
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Why don't you do, I mean, why couldn't that be a low density area, gated area or something like that?
It could.
Don't think like a developer all the time, when you gotta get a lot of houses.
Well, I'm thinking like the state wanted me to think is try to get as much housing out of it as you can. And two, I think it's a decent site for higher density residential because it's in the middle of the city and there's already services available to serve it. And Cinnamon Drive is a collector street, so it's a wide street. It can handle it.
Well, that's a lot of cars on there. That whole area is developed.
Well, I think it's next to the school, so I don't know. I think that's a perfect spot to put an apartment complex to lower our arena numbers, my opinion.
Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I'll-
Does it, well, I do have a comment. Does it have to be one or the other? Could it be either or?
Either or.
In other words, could it be,
Could it be low density and high density?
You could split it. You could put.
Not split it, just either or.
Either or.
Let a developer
Oh,
come
let
and
a
say, hey, I
developer-
want to put
we.
100 houses there.
Yeah, thank you. We would be expressing our intent. that
Yeah.
We'd like either, medium or high or low or whatever, and let them figure it out. Let them come to,
Yeah, what color do you get when you mix brown and yellow?
Stop.
Orange, that's medium.
So-
Medium density.
So Steve,
color.
If we left a zone high density commercial, but somebody wanted to come in and do medium density, Is there an outlet without a zone change to do that, or can that be done through like a?
If they were doing
Administrative.
medium density, if they were still because I don't think the high density wouldn't allow single family homes, but it would allow a lower density
Right.
medium apartments. So they wouldn't have to be high density apartments. They could be.
Well,
medium
my point
density,
is,
so-
you know, you're gonna get somebody come in, and say, well, we'd like to put a 4-story apartment building there and have 310 units, you know, stacked right on top of each other with no elevators, just pulleys from the ground floor up to the fourth floor,
Yes.
you know, I mean,
Dumb waiters.
That would probably be good for some of our, I'd be playing to a group, so.
I just, yeah, I agree with my colleagues here. If we could somehow express some intent that we would prefer to have housing. Or if we want to have, you know, high density,
Are you basically saying not keep a developer out? Like Woodside Homes could develop a housing development there, or somebody else could do it. Make it not orange, but can we zone it to be either or? Whatever the developer wants to do, if someone wants to come in tomorrow and build homes, they can build homes. But if somebody wants to build 900 apartments there for the sailors, we could do that too.
well, I mean, the other issue is, you know who owns the land?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
I believe.
But
it's
isn't that the
Billingsley.
definition of mixed use?
Is it Billingsley?
I believe so.
Yeah.
No,
So,
Well,
I mean-
Billings owns the triangle, I think. I don't know about the big square.
yeah, the square, I
We're talking
think is, well, it doesn't make a difference, but my point is, sometimes it's important to talk to the owner about what they would like to see. You know, I mean, the developer likes to see as much money as they can get, so does the owner. And, you know, what do they think that, you know?
I'm
That's all.
assuming they were notified as well.
Yes.
And could,
Did not
Speak.
contact us.
You haven't heard from them yet. you know?
No.
So they don't care.
No, not necessarily.
does our zoning for high density, even though there's nothing built there, does that help us with the arena numbers or anything? Because there's
It'll help a
potential.
lot, yeah.
So if we zone it for high density, that helps us. But if someone were to come and lower the zoning, say they switched that, they wanted to switch it to low density, do we now have to compensate somewhere else?
Yeah, we would,
That's what I thought.
but, you know, we'll work with people. If that's what they want.
Gotcha. Any other questions from council?
Just my question, isn't that the definition of mixed use, right? If we leave it the way it is?
Well, no, mixed use can have a lot of different definitions for our purposes. The purple, it's a mix of residential and commercial uses. So on the same site. And that's been harder for people to pull off. What I hear mostly from realtors is that, you know, there's two different kinds of loans. You either get a commercial loan or a residential loan. There are no mixed use loans out there.
I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for public comment on 5-2 only.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, council. On 5-2, I want to voice my support for the adoption of 5-2, particularly when it comes to the big square section. I think that's smart. I did have a question if parks or green space would be able to be put in to that type of area, because I do think it might be good because it's next to the school, might be good for ideas for development. When it comes to the triangle, it gets a little iffy. I think if it were to be adopted as presented, it would be in the best interest of the community to adopt a sound shadow and barrier to block sound from the train coming. So the residents who would be in those potential apartments aren't being bothered by the loud train at the night. But I also wanted to voice, I know that Mayor Pro Tem Gornick was being a little facetious when it came to the elevator, but when we
Not.
but I'm voicing my support to your point, because even though we've seen previous apartments and residences that were ADA compliant without an elevator. I want to voice my support for the city pushing for an elevator in these types of facilities, because it's not only for convenience and the quality of life, but it provides choice for the residents on what floor they want to live in. And also, no one wants to carry their groceries up the stairs every day. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Reed, Fire Avenue, Lemoore. In my uneducated opinion or question, I guess, if you change the zoning tonight, would you have to notify the owner that it's a different zoning? So you'd have to start this process anew from that point. Thank you.
Is that a question?
Yes.
We have notified the owners, so they've gotten probably 3 notices by now.
But they notified it to this specific zoning.
Yes,
Changed it.
Oh, you have to start. with that.
oh, if we did something different tonight than what's on the agenda, he's right. Yeah, we'd need to make sure they were aware of that.
Should basically start over.
Sorry, I misunderstood the comment. Chris, you wanted me to point out, the current mixed use zoning doesn't allow single family homes either. So, so changing this probably makes it a little bit easier to do single family if that's what they really wanted to do, because this is closer to single family than mixed use would be.
Well, I mean, I get, there's multiple purposes here that everybody wants to succeed in, we certainly want more affordable homes and different variety of homes. But I'm the developer or the owner. It might not be the developer, but the owner has an interest too.
Mhm.
In this case, it's a resident, longtime family name in this community. They might have a preference in terms of what they want to do it. And then again, they may not. They may just might want to say,
Yeah.
as soon as you can sell it, great, but, I don't know.
I didn't see the letter that was sent out, but in there it states that if you agree or don't agree or have another opinion, you can speak your mind.
We sent them this very map and we gave them my cell phone number and email address.
Okay,
And I did get calls, but not from this area.
okay. Any other public comment? See, none, I'll bring it back to council.
Steve, I'd like to tell you one thing. I know that it seems like some of these questions might feel like they're not in favor of your idea. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, they are in favor of you. Because I know you to be a person of common sense, which I don't know why they call it common sense, because not everybody has it. And that you work with Christy, who is probably the second smartest woman I've ever known. So with that, my wife being the first.
Good save.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the general plan amendment for 5-2.
Motion to approve 5-2 as read.
I have a motion by Lyons. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Gornick. Councilmember Lyons? Oh, did you have a comment?
Just a recommendation in the future. And this is a grammatical error here, but you like, for example, on the colors, you have the yellow, you have low density residential. And then parentheses, you have RLD.
Yeah.
Could you be consistent in future and say low?
I will call up the planner that came before me and inform of that, because I would not have done it that way.
Good. Well, then I know you'll take care of it.
Oh, I see. So like
low
the next one is,
residential, low
You
medium.
put all the Rs first.
yeah, I see.
That way they're residential right away.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Lyons, and second by Gornick. Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
Yes,
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Orth,
Yes,
and I vote yes as well.
And I do truly appreciate that comment. Because we think about that all the time. How do we make it easier for people to understand? But you're right.
Okay,
Uh, Go ahead.
5-3, public hearing resolution 2023-29, approving general plan amendment number 2023-4, initiated by the city of Lemoore to eliminate the mixed use designation from the general plan located in the vicinity of Bush and D Streets in the city of Lemoore, and first reading of ordinance 2023-08, adopting zoning map amendment number 2023-04, changing a portion of the zoning map from mixed use to professional office, neighborhood commercial, and high-density residential located in the vicinity of Bush and D Streets in the city of Lemoore. Mr. Brandt.
On this, again, as you said, this is at the intersection of D and Bush. This one, we got almost every property owner called and commented on these. We had Mr. Oliveira controls a number of sites there. We had a discussion early on with him. He's happy with what's being proposed. We had one change where we had originally proposed something different to the planning commission, and property owner convinced the planning commission to change something. So we're bringing that forward to you as neighborhood commercial. And I think he's here tonight and can speak to that. We got a letter or an email last night from Mr. Patel, the owner of the Travelodge, and he was against the change. I talked to him this morning. We had about a 10-minute conversation. And at the end of the conversation, he said he was okay with what we were doing. So on this one, I think we went into it again, like I said at the beginning, the goal was to get more housing, but in here, so many of these sites are better off as commercial or office. So we're proposing that change. With these changes, none of the existing businesses would be out of conformance. They're all would still be allowed in the new zones that are being proposed. Even the swim school.
Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open it to the public. Is there anyone that would like to comment on 5-3?
Good evening, council members. My name is John Siegel. I own the property at 684 Oleander. I use it as a secondary home. I was here for all the previous meetings on this and the planning commission meetings, and you did a very good presentation. However, I would like to point out that it's important that we observe our social justice aspect of what we've done in terms of the high density, that's going to be very high density for affordable housing. That has to be done, and I'm in favor of that. But I think maybe in deference to that, why do we want to put, so on one side we'll have that kind of density, and then take an area just on the other side of us and make that high density. And I brought up at the planning commission meeting for the same discussion that I'd like to have a vigorous discussion about making that medium density and not high density. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak again. When it comes to this specific area and the community, I think it might be a great idea to encourage following the King's Building renovation restoration as a model for some of the vacant office spaces over there. Maybe not necessarily knocking them down, but repurposing them, giving them new life, so to make developments easier. And when it comes to the current zoning, I was curious if a gas station would be eligible for that type of area.
Good evening, Jim Chris, speaking on behalf of the two pieces next to Daphne 030 and 037. I really appreciate all the work that the planning department has done, the considerations from the planning commission and you, the council, on making these changes. We've had this property for sale for quite some time, and every realtor has told us this mixed use thing just doesn't fly, and it's just not here. It's in Fresno too, right? You have to set a stake somewhere, and then you can move forward. As you know, you can always change zoning, you can always change little odds and ends, but to get these big companies in, they want to see a stake in the ground, and then they can walk around it. So thank you very much for the consideration. If you have any questions? Oh, and he's already said, you know, all of my neighbors, Mr. Oliveira, I mean, we're all thrilled, right, that this is being done.
Thank you, sir.
Questions?
No. Any other public comment?
Well, Al,
Yeah, I
did
was
you
gonna-
get your question actually answered?
I was gonna have Steve answer when he came back up. Gotcha.
We got a couple questions for you, Steve.
Yeah.
Can a
Well,
gas
looks like
station be
it.
put there
Or
Okay,
a park.
or a park? Well, no, the park was on the other one.
The mixed use zone does not allow gas stations, but neighborhood commercial would allow gas station. The mention of the proposed high density residential area, that's one of the properties owned by Mr. Oliveira. He specifically requested that zone for that site. And it seemed to, we didn't do it just because of that. It does make sense because it's a transition between the commercial and the lower density residential. And I forgot the part question.
On the previous item.
It was
that
the
would
high
be eligible
density.
for Park or green space. Or the zoning.
If the city bought it for a park, you can do whatever you want.
Thank you.
So yeah. That one, like I said, as I said before, this is the one that had the most back and forth with the property owners, and in the end, everyone is saying that they're supportive.
Okay. Last call for any public comment on 5-3 before I bring it back to council. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Any other questions or comments, or I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to move to approve.
Just for clarity, move to approve the general plan amendment, blah, 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 blah.
5-3
5-3.
as read.
That's really.
5-3 is written in red.
Okay. So I have a motion,
I'll second it.
Councilmember Gornick,
Hi,
Councilmember Ord,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yeah.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
and I vote aye as well. Okay, moving on to 5-4. Public hearing resolution 2023-30 approving general plan amendment number 2023-05 initiated by the city of Lemoore to eliminate the mixed use designated from the general plan located in the vicinity north of College Avenue in the city of Lemoore, and first reading of ordinance
Okay.
2023-09 adopting zoning map amendment number 2023-05, changing a portion of the zoning map from mixed use to low density residential, medium density residential, and community facilities located in the vicinity north of College Avenue in the city of Lemoore. Mr. Brand.
This is the fourth and final map on this one. Even though it looks like there might be 8 parcels, there's really only 3. One of them is the city-owned parcel with the tank and water treatment facility and the solar panels. Near Bush Street is one parcel, and then between that parcel and the railroad is a third parcel. In looking at that, we started looking at this area because of the mixed use that's there, but then also noticed that some of the zoning just didn't make sense. Their community facilities, which is that light blue, is meant for public sites, either city sites or the college or schools. And it wasn't matching up to what the city really owned, and we don't know why, but we want to change it. And so we moved the community facilities to match the existing site. And then what we're proposing is medium density residential, which is the orange along Bush Street. And that's the one parcel, and then behind it, the low density residential. We talked to both of those property owners and they're both supportive of this.
They're both what?
Supportive.
Ferris?
We talked to Ferris's
Yeah.
agent,
Right.
Palmquist.
He said that a lot.
What's that?
He said that a lot. He hasn't delivered.
Well, yeah, it's only been
Um,
16
no,
years.
the only question I have is why would you put the low density closer to the, I mean, I
The
guess,
railroad tracks,
yeah,
that's a tough site. I mean, we could do all of it medium density, but I don't know. The woman who owns it also owns land farther east that's already zoned low density. So I think that was part of the thinking, is then maybe she could sell it all at once to somebody. But
see, I think that would be a parcel that if you had both there, you know, either or, a developer could,
well, and it's, if somebody wanted to do medium density there, it would be a lot easier to upzone it to a higher density.
Yeah.
So, especially the way we've got it set, because it would be what's happening right now is just,
yeah.
it's
and then
kind of unwieldy.
when the community facilities, what were you thinking of there?
The community facilities, that's the existing
Water
city-owned site.
That's
well
well site seven.
well said.
that's
Well
a
site
solar
seven.
field. And it goes
You
from
don't-
the railroad
you have
tracks.
you have no park or recreation area or walk area or anything in those kind of things. I mean,
Well, that'd be part of the development, right? That'd be the,
Yeah,
if someone bought that and developed it, we
Put a
could
pocket
add the
park.
park and all that.
Yeah, we still have, because we still have the requirement for people to put open space in their subdivisions, even though it's not shown as green on the zoning map.
well, I know, but it gets to the point of our intention, you know, of they know up front, if they're looking at that piece, there's going to have to be some
Mhm.
Yeah, but-
recognition of what the city wants.
Yeah, but the green spot is gonna have to work in what they want to build. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I do, but you know, we need to be upfront about, I think, what we intend.
Our expectations
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
I think most developers know if they're gonna build, and I'm just making a number, 200 apartments there. They know, most of them developers, correct me if I'm wrong, know they're gonna put a park or something there. If Lennar knows they're gonna build homes there, they're gonna know there, two things are gonna happen. One, they're gonna build a park. Two, they're gonna have to put a lot of insulation because the man in the back row is gonna make sure they put a lot of insulation for the noise, and I'm cool with that.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't see any, do we have in the Lemoore project across from the college?
I learned a lot
Yes.
last couple weeks
Yeah,
ago, so.
there's
We have those little mini parks.
it's a mini park, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you know, those are good for dogs. But I don't know.
Well, we can change that when they sell it.
I mean, what is your expectation on this proposed zoning? Of what you would think would be, are you into the little tiny tot parks, or is there something there that would mirror the kind of developed park that we have in the proposed one coming
Lazy
forward,
Lazy
or
Ranch.
the one over
Lazy
at
Ranch.
yeah.
Well, we've had a history of letting the developer design the park and put it in where it fits with their neighborhood. If you want us to get a little more strict about that, we can do
Well,
that.
my intent is really the kind of the size of it, or in the use that
If
would
you're
get.
talking about a bigger park, that really is more of the city's responsibility.
Yeah, but
because
we're asking those developments to have a higher price tag and
But they're also paying impact fees, and we need to spend those by building our
I
own
realize
parks.
that, but they are an attraction to a neighborhood,
Yes,
okay? Why am I fighting with the city about what should be good about Parks and Rec in our
I don't,
city?
you know, I don't think we're fighting. I'm just trying to explain how things are happening right now. We haven't really built a
I think we
new
just need
city
to have,
park
we
in a
need to
while.
lean forward on this stuff when we want to bring people into the
So,
city.
so right now, our ordinance requires a certain size park depending on the size of
Front of the
the
number of
lots, the
number of
current number of
homes.
homes and things like that. So if you want to require larger, we have to go back and change that ordinance to require larger park spaces in the subdivisions that the developer has to build within their parks. It's already in the books. They have to build. And typically, I mean, they got to build the minimum. Sometimes they build bigger, but that's in a different section. So if we wanted to
think
revisit
we
that,
should
you
look
could
at
give
it.
staff direction to come back and we could look at that.
I mean, on this discussion we had about that square piece of property. Where they're gonna build a park around there? You know, yeah, for that apartment complex that, you know, if that was all gonna be, you know, high density.
Are apartments the same standard or?
Apartments, yeah, apartments are required to dedicate 5% of their site for open space
By the state law or that us?
by our ordinance.
What is the state requirements?
The state doesn't have a requirement.
Good, okay.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, you guys did an awesome job and I'm really glad that you guys listened to landowners and people. I really don't really have this is not a gotcha or a punch in your mouth. The whole the low density behind it between the railroad tracks. My 2 cents, and it's only my 2 cents, is that whole piece where it's orange in the bottom part. I think that should all be, because I think it would be easier to sell that for two aspects. Kids going to college across the street, and then in the future, it would be a great spot maybe for a light rail that I learned that somebody wants. That I think would be a great idea for some military people to live in that same apartment complex to get out to the base. And look at that as a point to help relieve some of the housing issues for the school and for our military personnel. That's just my 2 cents. That's all it is. But if you tell me this is the best way to do it, I just think we're going to get some fight over that low density residential right there. And people are not going to want to buy houses that close to the railroad tracks when you could have flip-flopped them, I think. That's just
Yeah,
my
because you've got
my 2 cents.
Bush Street there or College Avenue is really what it is. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got
That's
that.
just but I understand that's a hard to do these public hearings like
No,
that.
Bush, yeah.
I get that.
Bush is gonna be 5 lanes, 2 lanes on each side and a turning lane in the middle, right?
Mhm.
So, that, to me, that would be
You wanted to go like into a nice apartment?
no, I'm just saying,
Or is
you've
it-
got one corner there on College and Bush for commercial, right?
Neighborhood commercial.
Isn't it a bigger piece now? Or are we?
Right. The way the proposed zoning map looks, there's one property owner that would own the medium density residential and a different one that would own the low density residential.
Is this Mrs. Chirenko's
Is
property?
that her name? Natasha?
Yeah.
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 And the medium density residential is Ferris.
Yeah, and she owns property on the other side of the tracks.
He owns the property that's already zoned medium density residential
Yeah.
to the east.
Kuchenrenko is her name. Natasha Kuchenrenko, I believe.
And just for knowledge, all the properties north of this proposed site, north of the tracks, up until you see the little road on the upper left, that's all already under contract and will be developing. It's either done or that's where Helena Agribusiness is going.
Yes,
So everything north of that's already built out.
right. And the solar fields are there and everything, right?
Yes,
From the
Reno
Reno,
Solar
yeah.
Field and yes.
Please. Christie wants to talk.
So just to be clear, we're bringing this to you, the property that Natasha owns is really already low density residential. There's one portion of it that's medium density mixed use. So we're just making it
All of it.
all low density residential. So it's
good.
something that really already is. And then the same with the medium density residential. There's just that one spot. So really looking at it, what we're here tonight is really trying to change the mixed use. It just so happens that there was the community facilities and the parks that was like, somebody else owns that property. You can't, the city would have to buy it to do anything with it anyway. So what's the point? You can't make somebody, if you had 5 acres, I'm sure if you wouldn't want the city telling you that you have to, half of it is for parks and you can't build anything on it type of a thing, that's kind of,
They gave me the right price, I wouldn't mind.
but you're not making anything on it because you can't develop it. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that it's really that purple section that we're changing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. I think I need to open it up to public comment now. I think that's where we're at, right? There's so many of these things. So I'll go ahead and open this one up to public comment for 5-4.
Mayor, council members. Commander Finley, Executive Officer of NES Lemoore. I've seen a few of you. Just want to come down here and to ensure that NES Lemoore is a good steward and good neighbor with everything that's going on, all the development, trying to have Lemoore grow. And I totally understand this. Would not be a good neighbor if did not come down here and say what happens right over this area. All right. Like I said, NES Lemoore Executive Officer, I am not going to give you a recommendation. Okay. But I'm going to tell you at 2,800 feet over this, now it's going to be housing. We fly low and slow. Come April of next year to October of next year, we're going to be flying at 1,800 feet. So really low and slow. I'm glad I'm here. So it doesn't sound like, oh, hey, the base was a little frustrated for whatever, bringing people in there. That's fine. We're doing major work on our Western runway. All right. And we're going to let you know that we're going to be loud right over these places. As a parent, it's going to be loud if you got little kids, just so you know. But just like Councilmember was talking about, there's lots of ideas for as the base grows, as Lemoore grows, looking to have our people that are coming in right now. The military's in a little slump for retention. We're going to be getting an influx of people as soon as the economy changes a little bit. Okay. And all those people need to have homes. But to go back to being a good neighbor, we're loud,
But not
right
there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just, we can't move our flight path farther to the east because it's going to be over more people. And we can't move our flight path over to the west because that's right over the airfield. So that is where we do our work, and that's all within the FAA, and we're all legal for doing that. Now, with that being said, this is my second time coming down here. Hopefully we can get more tours and introduce people to the base of how we do things. Does any council members have any questions for me at all about what happens over this neighborhood or in the general area?
Yes, I do.
Sir.
Hi, my name is Frank Gornick.
Sir.
And in my prior life, I was the chancellor of the West Hills Community College District. And 25 years ago, I had a great opportunity to meet Commander Deke Childress, who was very ambitious about getting the Navy out of the housing business. And his project was the remodel of what is currently completed at that base.
Yeah.
Because he wanted the city and the sailors to develop equity so that when they were moved to another city, they had something in their pocket to be able to put down on a house. Now, I realize times have changed in 25 years, but
yeah,
he was a great proponent of education. We negotiated with the base with respect to encroachment. We went out to the East Coast. We went down south. We looked at what the encroachment was like. It's nothing. We're pristine compared to what's happening around the United States.
Yep.
With base encroachment. We are living with a compromise. The compromise that we all agreed to and signed off on, including Navy, was that anything west of the college is a preserve. wildlife preserve. There's no housing. It's zoned agriculture by the county. It's not even in the city. Okay. With regard to the flight pattern at the college, we modified all of our architecture to accommodate for the noise that would occur.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
And we have even attended meetings in Washington where we had a discussion about moving the runways west. Realize that takes a lot of money,
Oh, yeah.
but that's the compromise we're living with. We're not going any further west than the college in terms of homes. And we're going to go north and east to accommodate it. But, you know, that's appreciate everything that you guys have done. You've been good neighbors. You've argued well with us. You've realized that we're in a tough spot too. We've got to grow. And we've got restrictions on a lot of things that you do too. Talking with the commander out there, the mayor and I had an interesting discussion with the commander about his biggest need right there is infrastructure, not only for the runway, but also for, you know, water, sewer, all those kinds of things.
Yep.
We're in the same situation.
Yep.
But I just want you to know that I appreciate your service. And I understand that you're told to come and say these things. But I also want you to give you a little history about this. Has been a long process with this city. We've had an ag family come up and donate the land for the college because couldn't get more two things that we're proud of in this county as education, agriculture, and the Navy. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for him?
I don't know if I have a question, it's more of a comment.
Sir.
I had the pleasure with the mayor to go out there and you guys gave us an excellent tour of the base. And it was great to see everything that we do. And numerous times, I think I may have said Sound of Freedom, and I stand by that. I would be all on board to be great stewards of both of our industries, we'll call it. And I'm going to ask if we do this, if we can work on, I know you can't quiet those planes because they were coming in over our heads and they were loud,
yeah.
But I truly believe majority of our city believes the sound of freedom of those planes outweigh anybody saying anything about anything. And we talked about how many complaints we get from our local citizens. And it was from different communities than here. We had a great time.
Yeah.
I learned so much that day, and I thank you very much for everything you do. Really all I would like is, Nathan, going forward, I know it's expensive we can't soundproof them. I know that. I know that.
Give me the CCNRs though.
I look towards, if we decide to do this, to do the best thing, because I know this current command is not going to fly a plane at 1,800 feet over our head, our next city council meeting. I think they promised us they wouldn't do that. So,
I think it was like 800 feet. But
yeah, well, I was trying to be
too.
that just so everyone knows, when the mayor and we did ask that question, and we were told that they'll try not to do that.
Mhm.
So once again, it was a great opportunity. I'm really, really looking forward to going back and doing the second part of the tour. It was a blast. Thank you very much for your hospitality and everything you do. And I too agree that we have to grow. And we both said that, and you heard it, and we know. And thank you. I can't thank you enough for the hospitality the mayor and I got that day. I was really glad I took a day off to go do that. So
You're welcome. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like to say something to you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thanks, sir.
And hey, you got my vote if you take me for a ride in one of your jets.
they told me no.
Okay, well then in that case, how about the Navy come in and buy all that land and do something else with it?
we have talked, well, not of this specific, there's other places, it's just, you know how the government is right now.
They don't want to be on.
So that's a no.
They want to-
Not right now.
Okay. No, I'm saying to build it, don't turn it into houses, turn it into, you know, a park or
Yeah.
another library or a swimming pool. I think Frank wants a swimming pool and gift it to the college or something to that
They're not a
effect.
smooth
Definitely,
business.
I am asking these questions and it does take a long process.
No, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
And taking me for a ride is a quick process.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
here.
we'll go lower than 800 feet and fast.
I asked you just to get in the plane and they told me no.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to
Maybe
look
have to
at
be
it.
next time.
I got to look at it. I couldn't touch one of them, but I got to look at it.
They and just so you guys know, I'm sure you've heard. Like I agree with. I love hearing them. It's kind of neat being from Lemoore because you know you hear it all the time, and then sometimes when you're in a weird town where it doesn't happen, and all of a sudden they hear a jet flight, everybody like kind of freaks out and like, what are you guys freaking out about? They're like, man, that jet just went by. What's going on? I'm like, nothing's going on. That's normal business.
We're trying to bring the air show back as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be good.
Nice.
We're
Yeah.
fixing up the northern access point, so hopefully 26 or 27, we can get an air show back here. So
It's not far off.
no, it's not.
I got the opportunity, like I said, the mayor and I were out there and I told them in front of everybody, it's kind of awe when you're, and I'm gonna go a little bit different. When you see 1,000 people on a yard that's convicted felons and a plane flies over and they stop playing football, they stop playing basketball. I'm talking about the inmates. Every staff member, they come out of the room. It is awe to watch. We have 4,700 inmates, and I guarantee you, every one of them run out of their house when they come home,
Mhm.
and they're all standing there. And our central control says something on the radio, we all stop what we're doing, and we all sit there. And you look around, you're like, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're all Americans, and we're all happy to see you guys come home. So
It's a pretty powerful thing.
that was awesome.
You pop smoke?
When they start fighting, we do.
There we go. Mayor,
Not then.
councilors, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to echo what my fellow council members said and also I agree with everything they said, but I do understand your point in that in other areas, it has become an issue where we're saying that it's not an issue in our city right now. 1, 2, 3 decades from now, it could be a whole different climate and culture here. So I do understand
100%.
what you're saying. I do understand that, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. On the topic of 5-4, I wanted to express that in past council meetings, the base has come up as a topic of discussion when developing this area and beyond, and I appreciate them being here tonight. And I want to thank them for their service and sacrifice to our country. And I also wanted to echo that any decision must consider the safety of our residents from flight paths and encroachment. And in future zoning discussions, we should be cautious about encroachment into the military influence area and zones, as it is our best interest to have a thriving community. And I strongly believe that a thriving community in Lemoore is paired and inherently linked to the longevity of the naval base. And I want to encourage the city and the base to come together to develop a long-term strategy to ensure the safety and the thriving community we both share. And personally, I also want to echo what Council Member Orr said. Every time I hear the Jets, I always look for them. Same thing with my family. We're very proud of it. And it's truly an American moment and something that we uniquely all share as a community. And it is the sound of freedom to me. But overall, I do think that more housing, especially with the businesses such as the Fury Chicken, Dad's Cookies, the coffee and tea shop, and the day and night market, there's so much potential to be had over there. And it's something I'm proud to see, not only as a longtime resident of Lemoore, but a proud graduate of West Hills College Lemoore. Go Golden Eagles. And I really think that this plan put tonight is going to be supportive of our residents' needs, making West Hills a more attractive for students, as well as a more thriving community, drawing people into our downtown areas and seeing more developments like this in the areas that's appropriate. And I'm just really supportive of the light rail mentioned by Councilmember Orth for our sailors, our students, and our residents to enjoy our community and have convenient transportation. Overall, I'm supportive of adopting 5-4. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment on 5-4? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments, questions, or a motion?
If there's no motion, I'd like to approve 5-4 as read.
Just a comment.
Sure.
You know, on the existing zoning, we have the community facilities area. And I don't, in that master plan that we did decades ago, we did have, just east of the current water tank facility, we did have or east or west, very, very close to it, we did have a station, a light rail station planned, and a firehouse there.
Yeah.
Is that what that would go? on?
There's no longer room for a firehouse there. We do have the firehouse north side. So really what you're looking for is a north side and south side fire station. So in case you have a train blocking traffic, we can get out to the call. But right now there was at one time plans for a fire department out by the college, but the impact fees and the structure then just didn't support ever getting enough money to build it. And now there's the city years ago got rid of the west side impact fees, and we just have impact fees that go to the whole city now. So, and then the other thing that happened there is just west of the treatment facility, there was a through road plan to go up over the tracks. That has been abandoned since because we can't get easements to cross over the road without giving up easements. So there'll be no roads going from the south north over the tracks west of 41.
Well, we have if something happens with the intersection here on 41 and Bush, we have no exit on the west side. And that's a public safety issue.
Yeah, I've brought it up to the county several times about there's actually Caltrans has a plan for a 21st crossing there and on off ramps.
Right.
But it hasn't come to fruition. So our back way into the college would be right now Jackson Avenue down the old pole line road that isn't set up for emergency services. So
Yeah.
at a minimum, we'd need to go in and grade and make that an acceptable way to get in the backside of the college, because you do have the anhydrous ammonia at Leprino Foods.
Exactly.
If that tank springs a leak, the wind will basically block, we won't be able to get to it.
Yeah.
So I've brought that up a few times to the county already, but I can
Well,
keep pressing forward.
Do we need to bring it up with the county or with OSHA? I mean,
With who?
With emergency services.
Well, that property's county property. It's not
I know it's
within the
county
city's sphere.
property, but it's, you know,
Don't know.
it's just like, what you mentioned something that I was not aware of. We got rid of the west side impact fees.
Yes.
When would that occur?
So we need to keep the conversation centered around the resolution.
5-5.
S-
5-4.
What do you mean? You brought it up. It's part of the conversation.
That happened 6 years ago.
I think it was,
I think I'd have to look it up, but
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
about 6 years ago.
My motion still stands.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Orth? I mean,
Yes,
Councilmember Gornick.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yeah.
and I vote yes as well. 5-5, public hearing, first reading ordinance 2023-10. Adopting zoning text amendment number 2023-01, modifying sections 9(2)(a)(7)(1), planning permit and entitlements and review and appeal authority 9(2)(b)(12), minor site plan and architectural review 9(2)(b)(15), major site plan and architectural review 9(4)(a)(5), description of land uses 9(4)(b)(2), allowed uses and required entitlements for base zoning districts 9(4)(d)(12), accessory dwelling units 9(5)(a)(4)(a), and development standards for residential zoning districts and 9(5)(c)(3), design standards for residential projects of the city zoning ordinance in a way that will encourage more housing development in Lemoore. Mr. Brandt,
It's been an hour and a half.
Wow.
I'll apologize again for you reading all that.
that's okay. I had to concentrate really
Yeah.
hard on my numbers.
So So this item 5-5 is about changes to the text of the zoning ordinance. We've talked about these changes a few times in some study sessions, so I'm not going to go through each one in detail. If you have questions, we can dig into each one. So generally, the big picture changes are we're looking at changing the minimum lot size for single family homes from 7,000 to 5,000 square feet. Then there'd be accompanying some changes to the setbacks because of that to adjust that or to be consistent with that change. We're making changes to what we require of accessory dwelling units, which used to be called second dwelling units, which used to be called mother-in-law quarters. There wasn't that long ago where you had to actually sign something saying that the property owner would live in one of the two units. And that's since been said that we can no longer do that. So we've made changes to accommodate that. I think the changes, even though they did kind of we got strong armed a bit by the state. When you work them through, they do make sense. And I don't think it's going to hurt neighborhoods. It's going to provide an opportunity for somebody if they want to make an investment in their backyard and put in another unit, they can do it. And it makes it easier for them to do it. I know in other parts of the state, there's builders that are specifically only building second dwelling units. That's what they do for a living. They go around looking, but there's more demand in larger areas. So that's about accessory dwelling units. We cleaned up a few things on the approval authority to make sure that people understood that they could have any staff decision that was made, they could appeal it to the planning commission if they didn't agree to what the staff was saying. And we made changes to the site plan review process. So where before there was a minor site plan review and major site plan review, the major would go to planning commission, the minor would just be at the staff level. Now we're just going to have one site plan review and that would stay at the staff level. And then if the project needs planning commission review because it's a subdivision map or needs a use permit, then that would then carry forward to the planning commission, obviously. But in looking at some of the site plans we've done over the years that needed to go to planning commission, or they had to go to planning commission because the ordinance said so, the commission was like, we're happy with what the staff has done. So and I probably jumped around there, so good job, Marissa, trying to keep up with me. But again, it's a lot of text change. The underlined is new text. The strikeout is eliminating old text. That's all I've got, unless you have questions, which you probably do.
Questions from council?
Oh, then the study sessions worked.
Gornick looked like he's working something up right now.
Frank's still reading.
Okay.
Very, very fast.
Yeah, I think some of this, we got the chicken before the egg here. We talked about fees a little while ago. Why aren't we accompanying these things here? It seems like we act like we're living in the Bay Area, that we have to make all these accommodations for smaller houses and smaller units that are going to impact us significantly in terms of traffic and intersections and things like that. And we've seen like we embrace this other dwelling unit thing without really giving it much thought in how it's happening in other cities. I just need more information, I guess. I don't.
Was it SB 8, 9, and 10 that developed the standards for the ADUs that we have to follow, or kind of?
That and a few others. So I think there was a study done by UC Berkeley when they reviewed SB 9, which is the one that says you can have even have a second house, like a main dwelling unit on the lot. They did a study that they estimated that really only 5% of the lots in the state could actually support that, because most don't have enough room on their lot to put a second house. So, it's going to benefit somebody who maybe has a half-acre lot and a small house that was built a long time ago, and they want to have a second house. But I don't see this, the subdivisions we've been building the last few years are all 6,000-7,000 square feet. Some of them are less. There's no room for a second house on that lot.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open it up to the public for any public comment. Nothing? All right, I'll bring it back to council.
Motion to approve 5-5 as written and read by the mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth, a second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
No,
and I vote yes.
Passes forward. Passes forward.
I'm sorry.
Passes forward.
Oh, yeah. So it passes 4-1. Item 5-6, sorry, I had to figure out where I was. Public hearing, first reading ordinance 2023-11. Adopting ordinance text amendment number 2023-02, modifying sections of Title 8 Building and Development Regulations, Chapter 7 Land Division of the City Subdivision Ordinance in a way that will encourage more housing development in the city of Lemoore. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you. This last one is about the subdivision ordinance, and it's a bit of a misnomer because the subdivision ordinance doesn't deal with how big your lot can be or any design. It's only about process. So it's about if I'm a developer and I want to get a subdivision approved, what's the process to get it approved? If I own two lots that are right next to each other and I want to eliminate that lot line, what's the process? If I want to move a lot line with my neighbor, what's the process? That's what the subdivision ordinance does. So it doesn't get nearly as much fanfare as the zoning ordinance, but every so often we do need to update it. And so I think the last time it was updated was maybe 15 years ago. It actually, from what I told, I had some of our surveyors look through it. They thought it looked pretty good, especially compared to other city subdivision ordinances. But they did recommend some changes. They're all technical changes that are in there. They make sense to me. But it's really about making it more understandable for developers to know how the process works in Lemoore. So in terms of trying to encourage more development, this is our way of cutting the red tape, is making the technical processes a little easier to understand.
And Steve, is that kind of the similar thing with 5-5? Because that basically all these changes have been to encourage development.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's to encourage development based on what we're seeing the market wanting to do.
and I fully am on board with what you guys are doing, and I understand that. And I will admit 5-5 and 6. I mean, it's like reading stereo instructions. But I promise I read 90, a large percent I would say like 95% of everything on there. Some of it I didn't understand why. It's like I don't get it. I don't understand why. But like, why do you have to change re-noticed and to noticed again? I mean,
Well, yeah, that,
it means the same thing. It's just versus one way of saying it versus another, which was a lot of it. But then I kept telling myself, no, they're doing this to promote growth. And so that's how I swallowed a lot of this, because a lot of it just felt like I understand why Frank went the way he did on the last one. It kind of felt like he said the chicken before the egg, were I don't even understand that. I mean, I get it, but nonetheless, I guess I just hijacked your presentation and just
That's
gave
fine.
you my thoughts.
You
So
did.
that's where I'm at, and I'm done.
Thank you, sir.
Are you done with your presentation? or-
Yeah, he's done.
yeah,
Now, I did not, I started to read and I'm gonna tell you, it was rough. I think my question is, I have one question, it's pretty much yes or no answer, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but does this help where we can design a certain area of a house in a certain part of town to say, hey, you have to have X or Y, and explain why? Like, say you have to have more insulation in a house west of the freeway because Sound of Freedom flies over your house every day, and we want to try to make it easier because you're going to sign a waiver, because I had to sign a waiver when I bought my house on the east side of way on the east side of of the town. I had to sign a waiver saying that jets fly over my house every day. So what I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest, I didn't read all of it, but I want to know, is this going to help to where we can tell these developers, if you're going to build in this area, you're going to have to do X?
do it this way. I would say that's true for 5-5, because 5-5 is the zoning part, and
Yeah,
that's where we tell
what I
people
figured.
how things need to be developed.
Okay.
5-6 is about the process. How do we get people through the process? What do they have
Quicker.
to submit? What are all of the technical things that need to be on their map so that we can approve it?
So we can
Because
approve
those-
it
because
one
that
time instead
map-
of 6 times.
Because the maps and, at the end of the day, when I'm done, I'm not going to read this anymore. It's going to be the surveyors that read the subdivision ordinance. But thank God for surveyors. I mean, if you believe in property rights, you better hug a surveyor, because they're the ones that tell you where your property boundaries are. And they have very technical processes, and they need this type of ordinance in order to explain to developers, here's how you deal with property issues in Lemoore.
And this will help them?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to hear.
One comment, on houses west of 41, they currently do have a higher standard for noise reduction.
Yeah.
I want to say 60 decibels. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to look it up. I do know that the F-35 is louder than the F-18.
Yes.
And as more
we learned
F-35s come, that noise level will go up. So we absolutely will be looking to partner and see what those levels are. And then we would, accordingly for new housing out there coming in, we'd probably have to come back and change that building code standard for stuff west of the freeway. But that is absolutely something the city would engage with and do.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open it to the public. Any public comment for 5-6? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to council.
Motion to approve 5-6 as written and read.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick.
No.
And I vote yes. Passes 4-1.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have no new business, and moving on to city council reports and requests. Councilmember Garza,
No report tonight.
Councilmember Lyons,
My Commission on Aging, they had a small problem here in town, and we were able to come to a resolve over there at the Generations. So basically all I'm asking for people that when the sign says for loading and unloading, let's honor those signs because that does not mean to park there. That makes everybody's life difficult. And with that, I want to thank police. I want to thank the fire department and the rest of council and our new attorney.
For one day.
For the day. And the Navy for coming out tonight, sir. Thank you very much. And yeah, and luckily there's a conversation to be had. You know, I understand when I ask you, well, buy the ground and do something with it. Well, the answer is no. Well, okay, how about we keep looking for another answer? Like maybe there's some kind of partnership out there. You know, everything is a matter of, it's not the right answer, but it's the right question. So I would love to see the Navy come into town and join up with the city to do something, anything. I mean, maybe we could put an amusement park out there and give F-18 rides. Who knows? With that, I'm done.
Well, we did ask for one of the planes to be put in one of our parks.
Oh, that would be.
We did
cool.
ask. We did
Yeah.
ask.
Can you give
Yeah.
us one of your airplanes?
He can't answer that. They told us the same thing. They told us they couldn't tell. I suggested that I know somebody that's got a big truck that would tow it out there for free.
I will do it. That would totally be me.
I have a truck that would do it too, but I think yours would be better. But
If an A4 shows up at Veterans Park and there's one missing a Hickey Park, it wasn't the city of Lemoore.
Noted.
But no,
get the
I
crane.
would like to see the Navy do something. I would love to do something with the Navy. So yeah, hey, I mean anything. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but it's still, like I said, it's a conversation that it's just the right question.
Is that it?
I
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
done
just
again.
checking.
you done?
Councilmember Ward.
I, like I said earlier, had the opportunity to go out to the base and it was an excellent tour looking at their infrastructure for their water. We didn't get to the sewer, but that's fine. Their water is, they're doing good things and there's a lot of things in the future that I think we could partner up with that's great for both of our industries. We had a fun event. My cart meeting, they did tell us about all of the money we got and everything, and we're moving forward on our cart center in Hanford. I asked if we can move it to Lemoore. They told me no, not this meeting, but meeting before. So we're moving forward. We're hopefully gonna get the bidder to give us a contract or award a bid next meeting. We are looking at the new buses and they are electric and they're very expensive. So somebody had asked me about something with the cart buses to get more service for West Hills for the different hours. And they're looking into that. The problem is there's a ratio that Farebox has to meet a certain, you have to have so many riders to move something out there, and it's a lot higher than my brain, but there's a reason why they're doing, but they're trying. I too want to thank the police and fire for everything they do. I felt safe last meeting because I think most of our department was here, but I also think that normally when they show up, we're doing maybe something that nerve wracking. So it doesn't fall on deaf eyes, but thank the fire department. You guys work hard. You guys do everything. City employees, everything work hard, and have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gornick.
The South Kings groundwater group met and they did vote to go out again for another assessment. This time the assessment's going to be about 25 cents more than the last one.
Yeah.
It's just change, right?
$10.10
Yeah.
versus I think it was $9.80 last time.
980, yeah. So hopefully that will pass and keep us moving forward with that approach. Want to thank everybody that spoke tonight, particularly welcome the Navy. Always nice to have you here. Steve, good report. My concern and my two no votes had to do with I think we're giving up quality for quantity. And that's my issue. I don't think we have to do that as a city. And you know, I particularly don't care what other cities are doing. I'm interested, this is where I live. So that's why it needs to be vetted a little bit more, in my opinion. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I attended the ribbon cutting for the Hive RTE, which is a real estate company here in downtown. Also attended the city county coordinating meeting with Councilmember Gornick, and he did an awesome presentation on broadband and what the state, right? State, yeah, ACP.
Yep.
Yeah, the ACP program. So thank you for doing that, sir. Also continue to have constituent meetings, have a few more coming up the rest of this week. So just a reminder, if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, my door is always open. Feel free to reach out anytime. I, along with Mr. Olson, attended the grand opening for the Kings County building. I'm not sure exactly what the name of that building is, but it's gorgeous inside and out. Everything about it is just totally cool and awesome. I'm with Nathan and hoping that someone will do the same for a few of our buildings here in town. And Mr. Walker also mentioned that as well. It's nice to have that history preserved and back functioning. KWRA, or Kings Waste and Recycling Authority, attended that meeting. Everything's going the same over there. No changes, just operational things. LAFCO meeting. The only thing that really they were going over there affects Hanford, and it was just some of their island annexations. One of them passed and one of them is continued. So other than that, I don't think I have anything. So go ahead and enter in the meeting.